When it comes to culture either side of the Atlantic, no one does it better. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you USUK's What's the Difference podcast with Alex Whiteley and Tom Bruno. Hey, and welcome to What's the Difference podcast with me, Alex Whiteley.
And me, Tom Bruno.
How's it going, guys? Welcome to the show. And today, I'm bringing what I keep calling. I'm good friends with Luke. He's been on my shows a few times, but not
only. We've never met.
That's weird, right? That is so weird. Me and Mr. Tom Hanks there.
I walked past your studio. I walked past your studio once, but
you sent me a picture, didn't you? Like, oh, look at the Susie Biscuit.
You still had a now recording sign on, and I was like, how long have you been recorded?
I thought you were talking about my studio. I was like, you walk by my bedroom. So weird. Like, I mean, I don't not support it, but I mean, the same exact point in time, like, what a weird place to walk by.
Yeah, so me and Tom have never met, and he's like one of the guys I want to hug the most in the world. So,
it's true. I want to hug you back, man. It's the nice thing. We built this weird, group of people that have never really met each other. It's like strangers loving strangers. It's almost like we should pay people for the privilege.
Yeah, well, I've had that with the Movies by Minutes community. Most of them American. My co-host for 2 Minutes About Time is in LA. I've never met him. It's the only people I've met involved in that community are the people who I've brought on to co-host since. So I've done 2 shows with my own friends who I've dragged into the community. But other than that, everyone who I chat with on the daily, never met them. And weird, it doesn't feel as weird over lockdown in normal life.
No, and it's funny because like everyone seems to like have like gotten on board with this whole like, oh, I don't know you, but I talked to you strictly through internet communications, and now it's a real social norm. So it's not nearly as weird. When me and Alex first started this, it really wasn't the thing. So it was really kind of hard to convince people, hey, will you come on and stream with us and talk with us over the internet? Because generally speaking, like podcasts that were very successful were done person to person, and now it's like everyone does it like this. So it's like, oh, we're way ahead of the game at this point. Fuck you. We've already figured out everything that's wrong with the system, and we've already like plotted a course to make it better.
And unlike me, who's like, I kind of thrive off having like people that I just don't like. Charlie Adlard is worth like £15 million. He's co-creator of The Walking Dead. He's sat in my kitchen, right? And I'm like, what is going on here? Like, I'm sat in my kitchen, and that was one of the craziest things ever. Now we're speaking to some of the biggest stars on the planet, like weekly. We're speaking to Starscream next week. One of the biggest voice actors on the planet, Charlie Adler, is coming on our show. He honestly, and that's what this has brought, isn't it? I forgot to change my name to Al, by the way, because we do have another Alex on the show, Alex Yousefi as well. Thank you very much for joining us, Alex.
No problem. It's a pleasure to be here again.
Yeah. Very quiet.
Very quiet. He is a little quiet, but that's okay, though. Maybe he's genteel. That's okay. Well, maybe we're just loud. Maybe we're loud old men, Alex.
Is that bad?
A little bit. Yeah. Which, by the way, I asked this question. I was because obviously you guys have a very youthful look about yourselves, and I was like, how old are you guys? And really quickly, just for the audience, how old are you guys?
I'm 17. You're 16. Sorry, I've answered that on your behalf then.
Yeah.
And out of all the things that have been said and done the show, I feel like this is what's going to get me in the most trouble. They're going to be like, you were talking to how old the boys on the internet this time, Tom? It's one thing when you talk to the old British dude across the way who's, your same age. It's whatever it is. But now you're talking to underage young men. You weird boy, you.
Well, okay. That brings us to the point of why we're doing this show. The reason why we're doing this show is because I think Luke and Alex, that not only are they onto doing something great, but I think Luke, I really do feel like we're speaking to a director in a couple of weeks, Rob Schmidt, right? He made the wrong turn. He made so many great movies. He is a Hollywood director. We're going to be speaking to him. I feel like in a few years you're going to be up there with the greats. I really do, because you are. I think I've known you since you were 15, 16. I don't know. I think you just turned 16.
I think I just turned 16. I was checking, actually. It was April So I would have just turned 16. So it's been just short of a year.
This is because you made a very good, like hot. Everyone in Shropshire knows who you are because you just make these great projects. You put things together and you make things happen. You're a young director, movie, TV, film producer. What kind of label would you put on yourself, Luke?
I go writer director, but I've been nominated. I was nominated a couple of years ago for Best Producer at the Young Artist Awards in Hollywood. I don't know how that happened. That's a thing that I still don't know how it happened. I didn't go to the event. It was just that's on my IMDb somewhere. But writer director is kind of it, and is what Alex is doing as well on this. Like, so that I'm sure we'll end up talking about Reduced to Clear. I want to just completely express that this is a complete 50-50, both of us working on it. I want to make sure that I'm not grabbing credits for RTC, which can very
is that a common thing in your industry? Like, even from a young age, are you seeing a lot of people taking credit for things that they didn't really do much in? Have you seen that? Have you seen it?
Not so much. No elements. There are certain things, but not in the grand scheme in my own work. No, but with this, I've been very aware with the different podcasts and guest spots and radio shows and things like that. That these have been things I've been on before. Well, I've two radio shows. These are things I've been on before, whereas Alex has not. So it's very easy for guests. Thankfully, you did it great on the biscuit, but it's very easy for the hosts to kind of be here's Luke and his friend, and it's like no, we are a writing team. We are equal. It's a 50-50 project. I talk a lot because no one shuts me up.
I compared you guys to D12. I think I was Eminem. Alex is D12 and Luke is Eminem. He's sort of they're taking each other.
Okay. I was like they're 40-year-old rappers from Detroit. I don't understand what the comparison is right now that you're doing. You should definitely take credit for other people's work. It's what I do right now. I take credit every day that a show comes out. I'm like, look at this amazing show I'm on, and some other guy he does stuff. I don't know. I show up every week, and luckily Alex runs the show for me.
I found myself personally feeling because I did 2 minutes about time, which to the listeners, as you might not know, Movies by Minutes, we analysed the Richard Curtis rom-com About Time by dedicating half-hour episodes to looking at 2 minutes of the film each episode till we covered the whole thing. I've been so invested in that film now and got to know so many of like the crew members and stuff that now whenever I hear anyone say something nice about that, a part of me on the inside feels like I've been involved. I'm not. I take pride in when people are like, oh, I love About Time, and I'm like, yes, wait, that's nothing to do with me. It's my kind of feeling. So sorry, Richard, if you're listening. I always say that he's not listening. He listened to 2 minutes About Time, Richard Curtis, and he came on. He's lovely, but he's not. Maybe he is. If Richard's listening, email in.
I don't think Richard Curtis will listen to our show. But, hey, but this is the reason why I brought you guys on, is because you guys have blown my mind. Because at the age of sort of 15, 16, I was not thinking about my career. I was not sitting down thinking, I'm going to be making movies. I was probably still eating dirt, in all honesty, just sitting around on the field thinking, oh, I've got football. Kind of just trying to get the guys together. They were supposed to be, I don't know, stupid shit like that I was doing when I was younger. So, like, to see guys like you doing what you're doing, I think is fantastic, and I think your guys are the next generation of creators. How did you guys meet, Alex and Luke?
Do you want this one, Luke, or shall I? I don't mind.
I think you can take this because I have a tendency to talk a lot. So
fair enough. All right. So in year 9, which for Tom, that's I think 9th grade. Is it 9th grade, Alex? Year 9. Does it translate?
It does. It totally translates. Trust me. We've been doing like part of the reason the show is called What's the Difference. I've had like 3 years to be integrated into British culture, and so much so that I use British idioms. I say cunt on a daily basis, and then they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Hey, it's all right. I talk with a British guy. Don't worry, it's all good. It's accepted."
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Okay. So in year 9 film class, that's where me and Luke met, and basically we didn't really talk much in year 9. It was mainly when the lesson changed to media studies. That's when we were like sharing our opinions on how the lessons changed, and that's how we decided really to team up for the projects in that class, which is sort of how our friendship like started. At the start, it was just a lot of ranting about
Make a bad movie
were.
with someone and you're friends for life.
Yeah,
That's
pretty
much
much.
it.
And then like after that, that's when we were like, we had to do this one project. Which did we mention it on the last one with Conman?
I think we talked about Conman on the biscuit. Yeah, Conman
Yeah.
denominator.
Okay, yeah, Conman Denominator, which it was. If you want to listen to Conman Denominator, then go back. But after that, we were like, we're not 100% happy with this. Let's do something better together. Which then lockdown really hit as soon as we were kind of having these.
Something kind of happened where it wasn't just. I'd like to say we haven't made it yet. Like it's not just like something a bit better than Conman like we wanted. It's blown up to very easily.
Now.
At whatever point I think we get in our lives after this, I can imagine this being like a staple if things work out well enough.
Yeah.
Wherever our careers go, Reduced to Clear will be something that is talked about. I hope
it will.
And this is what I love about what you guys are doing, is because comment. I haven't got the trailer, by the way. I lost it. I don't know what I did with it. But
thank goodness. I wish we could.
These guys were on the Shoes of Biscuit a few like last week, I think it was, and I played the trailer, and they both sort of cringed. It's almost as if me and Tom were going to go back and listen to the first ever sort of podcasts that we ever made, or something like that. That's the kind of. Yeah. You were good, man. You were good.
I appreciate you saying that. And like I like to talk, and that's kind of like what this is all about, right? Like I like to talk, and I like to talk to new people, so that's always been like my thing. I'm a booming social butterfly. But like the idea of listening to like the beginning episodes where I had no fucking clue what I was doing and I was just a stumbling mess, no thank you. I prefer myself as the somewhat professional dude who's been doing it for 3 years who actually has almost a clue. I like that guy a lot more than like year one Tom.
But you managed to make this movie as well, guys. Command is like a rough around the edges, school project type thing, but you still progress and you still bring people into the projects that you make. This movie that you're making now, Reduced to Clear, it sounds like it's going to not just. I think this is going to be like the start for you guys. I really do, because it's a massive step up. Would you go, Luke? Would you like to tell people sort of like what Reduced to Clear is and how this all came to be?
Yeah, sure. So clearly we've bored Tom now. But
he's got his Bluetooth on. He can hear. He's running a household.
That's all right. So Reduced to Clear is it's a surrealist comedy in a similar style to kind of Monty Python, Naked Gun, IT Crowd sort of stuff. And it follows a guy called Mike as he's volunteers at a charity shop and goes through the toughest shift of his life. And it's blown up to way bigger than we thought. So it's been exec produced by and as a cameo cast appearance from Ewen Macintosh, who was Keith in the UK version of The Office. We've got there we go.
Yeah.
We've got Simon Fisher-Becker, who was Dorian in Doctor Who and the Fat Friar in Harry Potter. There we go. And who else have we announced? I feel like just pop a picture up and I'll tell you who it is. We got Winter Fonander, who's an Irish stand-up comic. And have we got Nanette? Is she the other person?
Yeah, there she is.
Oh, and I'm forgetting a big one. Nanette Finch, who is the UK's most famous extra and supporting artist. And then finally, Alex Macqueen from The Inbetweeners and a lot of other British shows is having a voiceover cameo. And we're just kind of shocked that everyone's agreed to be in a film by two teenagers. But that's where we're at. We're kind of.
It shouldn't be shocking. If the content's good, the content's good. It should never matter who does it, who says it, who produces it. It should always just matter what it is. And it's just the work should speak for itself. So obviously the work is good because, all these people have agreed to join on.
Well, Alex, you've read the script. Do you want to tell us all the problems while you're at it?
I don't know, because I do feel like I see a lot of everything in it. I do see a lot of everything in it. I think the one I brought up on the Shoes with Biscuit was the 40-year-old virgin, Jonah Hill, that scene, if everybody remembers it, he's got the platform boots and they've got the goldfish in, and he's like, I want to buy these. And she's like, no, you need to go home and like bid for it on eBay. He's like, how's about I just give you some money and give me the fucking boots? And she's like, no. But it's got like that kind of British It's a
Yeah.
dark humor, and it's like if you've seen IT Crowd and you've seen, I don't know, maybe the odd episode of Only Fools and Horses where it gets a bit weird as well. You know, there's kind of sitcom-y, but you've added like a very surreal sort of spin to it. You know, I can't say scenes that are surreal. I don't want to spoil it, but it has everything in there. You know?
Yeah, it's been really tough to do promotional interviews about the crowdfund and everything. It's like there are things I want to say. There are moments which I want to. There's a certain gag which has been the go-to gag when I'm trying to talk to cast and crew about what the tone is, and I can't say it because it's one of my favorite gags in the film, and it spoils it. But
yeah.
No, once again, I was
burning
trying to
a hole in you for a while. That is, I'm like, shh, just leave it be. I bet Alex, like, you need to gag this guy. Honestly, he's gonna be. I bet he's told about 18 million people already. The punchline for this thing.
Yeah, well, that'll be the thing. I'll have told everyone beforehand, and then we'll get to a screening. Everyone will know it's happening. No one will laugh, and I'll be like, "It doesn't work."
Yeah,
that'll be although Alex, you weren't completely convinced in the first place about that one gag.
I feel like I definitely know the joke you're on about. And yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I don't, so it'll work on me.
Can I hint just towards Alex, other Alex, as to when the gag takes place, or do we just give it a complete no, Alex? This is tough.
Go for it.
It's between Pete and Lily, and a photograph. Clearly made an effect on you.
I didn't. I got to be honest. I should have flicked through it. I read like half the script because I'm a busy guy, right? I got a full-time job and I do all this sort. But
it's fine. I told you I'd listen to episodes of this show before coming on, and you know, life.
It is, but no. What I did read was very, very good. I love the role you've got for the mean guy, the threatening guy.
The threatening guy, yeah.
That's great.
That's Winter, yeah.
Yeah, because we've all been there, haven't we? I mean, I have. I mean, you guys are young yet. You've probably never done it. But, like, the guy that comes up to you and is just super intimidating, and you just kind of, like... There's people that come and they're just sort of so demanding, and you read that beautifully, so...
Yeah, I volunteered in a charity shop for about 2 years, only a couple of hours a week, but I kind of think I was drawing in on every customer that stressed me, which is because it's the wonderful thing about charity shop is one day could be the most boring day ever. Oh, the next day, and you have all these like genuinely quirky characters coming in, and it's just it's lovely, and I think it was great to kind of draw in on that because I don't think charity shops get much of it. Sorry, Tom, thrift stores.
Thank you for speaking my ideas. I appreciate that. I get this. Thank you for dumbing down for the American dude. I appreciate that. So it sounds like there's a little bit of Clerks in there as well. Then, if I would take it, I'm taking it right, like kind of like a boring job where you don't expect a lot of unexpected things to happen, but and yet all these people tend to kind of come to it and they kind of change the course of the day. If I'm not mistaken, is that what I'm gathering from it?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I watched Clerks just over in the past year. I saw Clerks for the first time.
Whether
it was before or after we started writing, I don't know. I liked it. It's not my favorite Jay and Silent Bob.
Ooh, that's controversial. I like it.
I think I really liked most of Chasing Amy, and Dogma intrigued me as a person of Christian faith myself. There were bits I was offended by, but other bits where I was like, that's a really interesting topic and question it poses. So I think entertainment wise, maybe Dogma, but more as a kind of, I like the questions it opens up and I like the discussions that it could have.
I think that's really what that movie speaks to is like it was in a time and place in Kevin Smith's career when like he was kind of figuring out what he actually believed himself, and it was raising a lot of questions being a gentleman that was raised in the Catholic Church and, you know, kind of like on the Catholic dogma of it all, that, you know, you're like, this is what you believe and this is what you should be following, and then kind of making this film where it pulls to light some of the harder aspects of it to kind of comprehend. Alex, are you familiar with Kevin Smith's work? Have you seen any of it? Does that inspire you as a filmmaker at all?
I have not seen any of that. I've never even heard of any of that. I'm gonna be honest.
Are we old? Alex Whiteley.
I feel like if any young director, anybody that wants to go out there and be a filmmaker from a young age, as you said, this is the reason why I brought you on the show, is because I feel like you are like the Kevin Smiths of sort of Shropshire. Like this is
Kevin Smith isn't talked about that much among our age, definitely. But I do really like. I can't believe I forgot to mention Mallrats. Mallrats was great.
Yeah. Of course.
So who? Okay, so that's me and Alex Whiteley's take on is that like, oh, this is who we think about when we think about independent film. When you guys think of independent film, who is the person that inspires you?
Oh, Bruno, fucking Bruno, he's here.
5 hours of sleep too.
Because I admittedly I'm not as active as an independent among the independent, but I mean I like obviously. Most of the big names started independent. You got like Tarantino, and
I think
there's
Noah
and
Clark.
Edgar Wright as well.
Noah
Clark. Yeah, I haven't actually. I don't think I've seen any of Noah Clark's directing, but I've been aware of him for a while as a Doctor Who fan. And he's an amazing writer. He wrote a couple of episodes of Torchwood, and they were beautiful.
Yeah, he did Kidulthood and Adulthood. If you guys have ever seen that, that was quite a big movie. So
I was too young when they came out, but I was aware of them and wanted to watch them when I was old enough. And now I am old enough. I haven't thought about them for years, so I probably should go back and.
They were good at the time. I'm the same. I haven't seen their movies in years, but you know, there's always that person that kind of inspires people to go out there and make things and do things. Is there somebody out there? I mean. Alex, we'll start with you. Is there someone or a movie or someone that really springs to mind when you think of someone that's inspired you to do what you want to do now?
Well, so it's no one independent. Like I don't think he's.
No, you don't.
I don't know whether he started.
Anyone.
Edgar Wright is my fate. Like he's my inspiration in the film world, and like I love everything he does really, and I'm excited for his new project Last Night in Soho. And yeah, it's mainly him that's driving my entire passion. And it's mainly a lot of, if I'm going to be honest, it's not many filmmakers, but more film-related YouTubers. If I'm going to be honest, I like when they critique films. And it's like, well, I know, because the YouTubers are more general audience, if you think about it. So it's like, yeah, I relate with what they want, so why don't I try and give people what they want rather than doing what the critic wants? You know what I mean? Like, so it's really just the range.
That is fascinating.
Baby Driver is one of the greatest movies of the last decade. I'm telling you.
Yes.
I came out of Baby Driver and I was like, like the puppet dad dancing out the door, did a side shimmy out. That film, honestly, within 30 seconds, just absolutely enlightened my soul, and it got ruined by fucking Kevin Spacey. You should see the balls on that guy. Sorry. Bruno?
No. I was just thinking, like, at the time that I was 15, I was trying to think of, like, what I was doing and who was inspiring me. A lot of, like, Kevin Smith. But at the same exact point in time, like, when I was 15, like, I saw Dazed and Confused for the first time. And
I still haven't seen that, but it's been on my shelf for 2 years.
What? Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just...
I buy a lot of films that I hear people talk about, and I'm like, I'm going to watch that, and then I just have my collection of hundreds and gaze upon them and never choose them. But
see, that's actually very interesting as well, because I did the same thing when I was 15. And once again, dude, I feel like a fucking old man. I did the same exact thing when I was 15. I heard about movies, like I heard about Donnie Darko when I was 15, and I was like, oh, I got to see this Donnie Darko film because, like, I was really into this girl that was into it, and I saw it, and I was like, what the fuck is this movie about? And what did she see in this? And what is this bunny doing right here? Have you seen Donnie Darko?
I'm in the position of I need to see it. It's been on my watch list for ages.
So, it's a crazy film. It's a really nutty film, and it's really well shot and stuff. And even as an adult, it baffles me because it deals with a lot of like time and space and stuff. But like I was doing the same thing. Like I was interested in seeing movies that I'd never seen that I wanted to watch for the right reasons because I heard they were amazing. And Dazed and Confused is one of those things. And Dazed and Confused changed everything for me. And I'd be very interested to hear what you thought about it afterwards, because being American And it being about the 1970s in America, I was like, oh, this kind of speaks to me because I love the music of the 1970s. I love the culture of the 1970s. I was also really into cannabis at the time, so go figure. It was so much so that like I grew my hair down to my shoulders like I lived in the 1970s, and all I did was like basically emulate that film.
Yeah, there are certain big
I've got to see
American
pictures of
high
this.
school-
If anybody's got a picture of Tom
There's like
Cruise with
one.
long hair,
There's like
send
one,
it to the
dude.
show.
There's one, and like honestly, like it's hard to find because here. Okay, I don't mean to bring the show down, but like literally, I got a year into growing my hair down, and it was down to like right here. Some girl straightened my hair one time, it went down to like right here. It came in curly and stuff, but I also got cancer that like later that year. So like all the sweet ass hair I grew just kind of like started falling out, you know?
Oh.
So yeah. So I had it for like, yeah, no, you can feel my plight right now, man. I feel you. Yeah. Oh, like it didn't happen to me. Oh, boo hoo, Alex. Oh, it's so
Yours grew
sucks being
back,
old.
mine didn't.
Yeah. It's true.
Josh Trank. Josh Trank was a young director. He made a YouTube video. It went crazy. People loved what he did. He then made a movie called Chronicle by himself, and it was critically, it was acclaimed. It was fantastic.
I
He
think
then
you
got
brought this
given-
up when I was on with.
Yeah,
Alex
I
Westwood.
did. Yeah, it's a great. Honestly, it's such a good thing to discuss when it comes to young directors because I feel like the movie industry ruined that guy because they gave him Fantastic Four. They made a great movie, and I listened to like a 4-hour long podcast that he did with Kevin Smith, where he said like they took everything I did out of the movie. Everything, like all the good stuff I put in there, they took it all out and they made their own spin on the movie. That happens to you as a young actor. Do you take that as a win, as a people know who I am now, or are you mortified?
Yeah, it would be a tough one. I think it's the great thing about that I want us to make the most of out of being at the point of having to self-fund. Like self-funding, self-promoting is an absolute pain, and sometimes I think, why can't I just have, Universal Pictures or Fox or Disney or whoever just give us the money, produce this, do the tough stuff, and we can make what we want. But frankly, you have a studio involved in your film, and you might end up with something that vaguely reminds you of a script you once wrote. So I think that's one thing which it would be tough, and I can imagine his pain. I think if they converted it into something that ended up being something better, you'd love to take credit for it, and it'd be great. But yeah, it'd definitely be hard.
It's so weird because they ruin like everything. Like it's with video games and music too. If they don't give the artist complete creative freedom, then it's like that's barriers, and that's like.
And
that
somehow you
ruins-
need a way to prove yourself, and that you
Exactly.
can have the creative freedom before they want to give it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad we've realized the stuff about the industry before we have to face it first time round.
It's funny because
I feel. Sorry,
we
go on.
spoke to no, you're good. We spoke to Lance Inkwell. He is the art
we did.
director for Cuphead, and I can only imagine if they were to, just basically because it's a different idea at the time. 3D gaming and side scrolling was no longer a thing, and then they come out with this game Cuphead, which is a side scrolling like 8-bit, 16-bit game, whatever it might be, and it took it by storm. Now you imagine if people heard about the idea first, put in the money, and they're like, well, no, we're going to do something else. We're going to make it a first-person shooter and Modern Warfare it up and try to make money that way. It wouldn't be what it is, but because they had creative control and because they raised the money themselves, it got to be what it is, and now it's so renowned and so loved, exactly as it was supposed to be seen.
Well, to bring it back to Kevin Smith, that happened with Dogma, because and even now it's even worse because obviously with what happened with Harvey Weinstein, like he no longer has control over that movie. He doesn't own it, so like he has no control over what happens with it. And he's even said like any money that he would make off it anyway, he would just give away to charity. He doesn't want that money. But at the same time, that's what happens, right? But like, just to finish on Josh,
I think there's a joke on one of it might be the Chasing Amy DVD that like it's a different studio, and there's like a kind of joke at the start about this is the third movie in the Jay and Silent Bob franchise, but we're not allowed to tell you what the other two are because they're not produced. And it's something like that. I can't remember, but I remember loving how they were self-aware.
Brilliant. But I was just going to add on to Josh Trank before we move on. His IMDb reads Chronicle, Fantastic Four, and Capone, which is the
made
Tom
the
Hardy
Capone
film, which is getting absolutely slated at the moment. If you've read anything about Capone, it's never going to be anything good because people have just been talking about how bad it is. So poor guy, poor guy.
But you notice that nobody ever says anything about Tom Hardy in that whole thing. They'll say lots of nonsense about everything else, but nobody. They've said bad things about Tom Hardy. They're brave. Tom Hardy's jacked. Didn't they see him as Bane? I do. That's crazy talk. I would never talk smack.
Bane, shush. We all know that.
Yeah, totally.
My name's Sean Connery, but I'm very ripped. I'm going to push you out of a plane. But I got a reputation to keep, so I'm going to shoot you.
I'm going to push you out of a plane, bitch. Fucking, I'm just going to shove you down and transfer your blood. Yeah, he is a great actor. I loved, what was that movie that he was in? He was the bare knuckle boxer.
Warrior.
No, not that one. That was MMA. It was like, he was this dude who was in jail, and like it was the whole thing.
Bronson.
Bronson. You see a Shantz in it, and I was like, take away from.
I feel we go a completely different tone of film and filmmaking when I say who my biggest influence is.
Go on.
Which you probably may have guessed anyway, Alex. Which is that Richard Curtis. I love Richard Curtis movies. And
so that's your Four Weddings at a Funeral, Love Actually,
Notting Hill, About Time, Yesterday. Yeah. I can't turn my camera, but I have a shelf which is his entire filmography in order of release, like just next to me.
I see that you also have National Lampoons behind your head.
Yes,
Christmas Vacation and
I've got all of them on the except the
who's the girl behind your head, because that's been throwing me off the entire time. So I think it's Charisma Carpenter from Buffy, and I'm like, yes, all right, you and me, man.
It's one of the I've got
sir,
I've got a load of autographs behind me, so she's the one there. I've got Nick Brendan there. I've got you can't see it's covered up. I've got Rowan Atkinson there, and the light's hitting
he's
it.
controversial. Like Nicholas Brandonson, he's like you. It's hard to talk about him nowadays just because of how badly like things kind of went from him, and especially everything with the Joss Whedon. Yeah, he's Xander. It's everything that's been going on with Joss Whedon lately. It's really weird because I have like all these like emotions towards Buffy. I used to do a Buffy podcast, and I love that show. I love what it does when it speaks to generation of female, strong female role models. I love what it does.
It manages to use demons as metaphors for like mental health. It's incredibly well written.
It's very well written, but at the same point in time, it's almost tainted now by this guy who's a notorious asshole.
No. I don't think so. I feel like if it's a good show that's like there in time. Now you can kind of go like, okay, that's enough of the cake for you now, Mr. Whedon. Off you go. You've had your day in the sun. We'll move on very swiftly. We'll give Luke Allen the job instead.
It's the very difficult thing of separating the art from the artist, and the way that time has changed. The attitudes they had were never acceptable, but unfortunately, society treated them as such. If you start seeing that tainted, then you've got to do the same for Hitchcock. He was horrible. Hitchcock, horrible bloke, and yet his films are still considered great works of art.
Stanley Kubrick
notorious, as well,
horrible. Yeah, he tortured. What was her face?
Shelley Duvall.
Shelley Duvall. Thank you very much. Wow.
Would you never watch Kill Bill ever again because of Harvey Weinstein?
But he had nothing to do with it other than financing. Like, if there was Quentin Tarantino, this might be a different discussion. But I don't think that they correlate to one another. I believe in, for the most part, trying to separate the art from the artist, but I also respect the other side, and it's tough. You can't watch the film or the show in the same light.
Yeah,
but
for instance, we were talking about Baby Driver earlier with Kevin Spacey. You've just kind of got to like cut him off like moldy bread. You just got to get rid of that bit and just enjoy the rest of it. Because if you let that's a waste of a great film if you just don't
I don't
like
think
it
you can eat bread like that. I think what you have read, that's stale and moldy. I don't think you need the rest of that bread, homie.
Of course.
But yeah, it's. I see both sides, and the concept of cancel culture is very important. And with people who've done genuinely horrible things, it makes absolute sense to avoid it. And you don't want to give money to the. I wouldn't actively. I think the difference is I wouldn't actively go and watch a film or TV show now because these people did it. I wouldn't go, oh, this was a Hitchcock film. This was a Weinstein film. Therefore, I'm going to watch it. But I think that the things that you own and the things that you watch, we shouldn't be punished and not watch it because of the acts of those individuals. But once again, in the same light, I am always happy to be disproven. Like, I am still 17. My views could be wrong. Email me.
That's a good point. That's a good point, though. And like when it comes to movies, TV, fame, in fact, like we're living through one of almost unprecedented time. The Me Too movement and everything that's going on with that industry at the moment is offering a new insight to people moving up in the industry, right?
Yeah.
So what does that do to a young mind? Does that give you an almost warning? This is the path not to go down.
Yeah.
The hookers and the drugs and the parties and the all that kind of power that you may get if you do make it, whatever you do now in your life may affect you later on.
I'm pretty happy with my Richard Curtis centered, lovely Notting Hill films and just staying British film industry, which I'm sure has its own problems, but unfortunately,
Yeah.
a lot of these things.
Hugh Grant.
That's such an old pull, dude. We got to get some new things to say.
Yeah, but wasn't Hugh Grant was while he was in America, wasn't it? He was doing that.
Yeah, totally. America tainted him. He came over here and he's like, I need black hookers. Is what I need to be more American.
And yet, once again, this was literally before I was born. Like I have an interest in Hugh Grant's career, mostly because Paddington 2 is one of the greatest movies ever made. But I think he did the right thing in his response to that. The other celebrities cannot there's the other people who are under the cancel culture have done such things where society would not accept a simple apology, obviously. But the way in which Hugh Grant came on, I can't remember what that chat show was, and literally cracked a couple of jokes about it, but very seriously said, I did a wrong thing. I know I did a wrong thing. That instantly is kind of like, okay, I'm on Hugh Grant's side now.
Plus, well, the only reason I'm not on side is because he cheated on Elizabeth Hurley. Who cheats on Elizabeth Hurley? That's just crazy talk. I mean, that just means you're silly in the head. Speaking of cancel culture, before we got on the show, I woke up and I was scrolling through Facebook because I was trying to help support a buddy's charity. And I saw something that I think my wife mentioned. My wife's a lot hipper to stuff than I am. She follows things a lot more closely. And I believe she said something about this, so I want to give credit where credit's due. But people are trying to cancel Eminem right now.
Yeah.
And it's for all the wrong reasons. And not for the wrong reasons, of course, it's for how their feelings. But like, what do you guys think of that? When you guys think of an artist as iconic as Eminem, who, has a very long and storied career and basically built his whole career off of speaking the truth, and then now he's being called to terms for a song that they're taking the wrong meaning from it. What do you guys think of something like that?
I think it's stupid. I think that Eminem, obviously, there's stuff that he's done in the past. He used a load of slurs back like 20 years ago, but like obviously social media at the moment is on a they've been on a rampage, just social media in general, especially Twitter, for like a year, and they're trying to cancel everyone. And Eminem, obviously, they just want to cancel Eminem because the slurs, they obviously have always been bad, but about 20 years ago in hip hop, they were a lot more acceptable than now. For like, especially on, I don't know how closely you guys follow hip hop, but 2018's Kamikaze that Eminem dropped, he dissed loads of artists, especially Tyler the Creator, and he used like a homophobic slur, but he didn't get cancelled for that. But this, which is 20 years ago, he's being cancelled for. And there are artists that have done and said way worse, but they're trying to cancel them. I don't understand it.
I think it's a bit of an experiment that's going on right here, because when it comes to cancel culture, you're looking at Joss Whedon, who, that's right, you should definitely cancel something like that because people were affected, people were hurt. And I was talking about this actually. I think it was on the live show, and I was saying, like, when it comes to like sexual exploitation and to just being an asshole in general and being a bully, which one's worse? And I was like, well, the thing is, right, if you're a female that's got a nice body and you're kind of going to expect that, but if you're just a bully and horrible to everyone, everyone's going to get it, right? So they're both bad, terrible bad. But like they're the people that should be cancelled, not something like you said was socially acceptable, sort of borderline.
I think we also, this might just be my own view, because for years, like my family have done work with people on different outskirts of society and like different people coming out of prison and stuff like that. I'm always for the idea of a second chance. If people can choose that they can change and can give honest apologies, obviously some of the people we've mentioned earlier have done horrible things, and I think it would be a lot harder. And I'm not quite sure whether society would ever accept such apologies. But I think it's the sort of thing which Dan Harmon, he was under a lot of stuff with Community and the way in which he treated a female member of the writing staff and a couple of other stuff, and he just came out, gave like a proper apology, and even the woman who, I can't remember what her name was, I only know loosely the whole thing, but I remember hearing that even she said that's how you do an apology, and now he's I don't think anyone has a problem with Dan Harmon now. He's just, except Chevy Chase, of course. But it's just one of the most successful shows of all time.
It's crazy that something like growing is not accepted any longer in our culture. Like, it used to be you say something dumb, you learn from it, you would change your views, and that was totally acceptable. Now it's like, no, you said something 5 minutes ago that was horrible. So now if you change your mind now you're just flip-flopping and just doing it for this reason, and that's not acceptable. No, fuck you. That's not okay. That's how we grow as a people. That's how we grow as a community, is that we learn things from one another and we change our points of view. So the fact that we're so easily to jump on the bandwagon and pick up a pitchfork and be like, no, we must stop this. It's crazy talk to me.
I think it's important with stuff like Joss Whedon. Like I haven't followed it enough to believe that anyone should take my views as the right thing. But a lot of it is centered around the Buffy era, as far as I've heard. It might just be because the communities I'm in. If there were signs that he was like that and he had evolved as a person, and I don't know whether he'd come out and said anything, or once again, I only caught glimpses from like the Buffy cast on social media, but I kind of felt like things in the past, you can accept forgiveness if there is genuine signs of trying to move away from that. But I think it's still important to acknowledge those things of the past, and because if we try and cover them up, then things are going to happen again and again and again. I think it's important to acknowledge them and to hold people accountable, but also to allow them the opportunity to change.
I think on the same page, it's also important that people, like, unfortunately, cancel culture has kind of made people apologize for things that aren't really warranting an apology. Like, they feel like they're going to get canceled for certain things they might have said or done. And they're like, oh, no, I'm sorry about that. And it's like, did you really need to, though? Or are you just doing it because you feel like this tidal wave of cancel is going to flow over you eventually? I don't know if it's
Al will know exactly that as someone trying to get into the industry, after every podcast guest spot I've done, I send a list of things over to the host or the editor, and are like, I'm sure it's fine, but I don't quite like the way I phrased that. Could you change this? Could you change that? I'm terrified with how serious and how controversial things I could have said today could go. Hence, I'm really exaggerating the fact that and emphasizing the fact of don't take my words as necessarily right. I am still just 17 and this is the views of individuals, but yeah,
you shouldn't, though, because I mean, like, this is truth that you're talking. Once again, this is not like you're sitting here on a pedestal saying some horrible things about people. You're saying what you believe to be true or what you think in general, and I don't think that's something that should be censored.
Yeah, I'm just aware that they are real people and real people have been,
of course,
affected.
but once again,
as once again, The View, as a straight white man and as someone who has been lucky to not experience anything close to this, I don't feel like I can respectably comment with any authority, but from my own personal view, this is how I feel.
Yeah.
And as well, I feel like the media do like to just like poke it with a stick. I remember a while ago there was a threat of cancel culture for Friends. I was like, you're not going to cancel Friends. Stop it. It's one of the best sitcoms ever made.
I wish they would.
It is. In all fairness, bit of a shout out to a Friends podcast, Sitcanned. They go episode by episode through Friends, dissect the script, go in depth. There are a lot of problems. The problems mostly being in society's attitude. So Ross, for example, is actually a very, very horrible guy in his relationship with Rachel. He's very disrespectful. He's very forcing. And yet these are the guys in which society and young people of that time were being told to look up to as the ideal way to act. So in that way, acknowledge it as a product of its time, but also acknowledge it as a work of fiction. I think that's the most important thing.
Friend sucks. What? Sorry,
we're gonna have words later.
That's fine. We can have all the words. That show sucked. I'm sorry. It sucked.
Recently,
Alex, it sucked.
Finally, before we'll move on because I want to talk about 2 minutes about time. A minute about
like
time.
I say you told me this was a lovely kind of friendly, jovial, fun podcast. We've just spent half an hour on cancel culture.
No, but that's good. I think we need to talk about it. I think we do need to discuss a bit because I do think a lot of it is fluff. One of the stories I saw recently is a story about how 2/3 of Mandalorian fans or they've lost 2/3 of their viewership or something of the Mandalorian because of the Gina Carano thing. And I was like, but the season has ended. That's why it's not active anymore. That's now archived. Like that's why there's not many people watching it anymore. Idiots. Like they're just trying to poke it with a stick, trying to cause a
that's press anyway, is trying to get a catchy title and the clickbait media. I think there's cancel culture connects into clickbait media, definitely. But I think obviously there are genuine things that can be talked about and need to be talked about. But it's the one annoying thing about the kind of sandbox world that the internet is that you can't. It's very hard to separate these genuine things that need to be talked about from, oh look, one guy said a thing accidentally and it's been taken out of context.
It's because I know people are gullible. Alex, you look like you're burning with desire to speak then.
No, I'm all right. I was just really going to say, especially with the Eminem thing, that you could talk about that for so long because there's so many things wrong with trying to cancel him. And there's other people that if you're going to cancel someone, all right, and then you've got to apply what you're cancelling them for to everybody else that has also done that same thing. And that just doesn't happen, which in turn means some people are getting excessive hate. And some people are just getting looked over, and then people actually deserve it more than them. And it's just like stupid.
I'll admit I know nothing about the Eminem situation, but from what is being said, I think I agree. I think this is the worst time to comment when it's too vague.
The final bit of what I'm going to say on it is, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, just keep walking. Just carry on.
Yeah, exactly.
I think if comments that people say cause genuine offence, then it's worth talking about. But when there is offence on behalf of other people, when there are people just trying to do it to get a clickbaity title, just trying to do it to get publicity, it doesn't raise awareness of the issue. What it does is it dilutes all the other important issues that people are being cancelled for, and it puts people who are being cancelled for genuinely horrible things on the same level as these people who have done very little wrong.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Right.
Yeah. Moving
on. Do you want to add on to that before we segue?
No.
This is a very forced segue. It's like, let's just put that over there for a second. And
am I going to be able to listen to this before it goes out? I really want to check what I've said.
We'll have a week.
Don't worry about it, man. All the things you're saying are appropriate and correct. And if anything, they're probably going to slander me. But I honestly, I don't worry about things I say. One, because I probably don't have the reach that I really need to worry about such a thing. But it seems like point in time, it's honest. Everything I said is honest, and it's either in the avenue of trying to be funny, or it's just because I feel that way, and I don't want anyone to tell me that I can't say things that I want to say because it's my given right to do so. Yes, exactly.
We have this great emphasis on the USUK network as a whole. Really, is that our goal is bringing people together, and. We never aim to be offensive anyway. We may say a few swear words along the way, but we're just a jolly bunch of guys that just like to talk about stuff sometimes. But anyway, your podcasts, Luke, you picked up a mic, you decided movies apart little by little and invite people on to talk about that movie, especially movies you love, like About Time. Where did that start for you? Why do that?
So all the credit goes to Pete and Alex from Star Wars Minute, which I didn't listen to, but they founded the whole Move 1 Minute movement. There are now, I think, like over 200 films that have been done like this. Moviesbyminutes.com, you can find the full list. pretty much anyone go on that list, a film you like has been analyzed minute by minute. That's just the way it is. But yeah, I think I started with linked to National Lampoon. They did a Christmas Vacation day by day a couple of years ago, and I listened to that. I was going through a big phase for some reason of loving the National Lampoon's vacation films. I still quite like them now, but they don't work for me as well as they did when however many years ago it was. Probably only about 3 years ago. That was kind of it. And so I started listening to that. I did a show called. This is the weird thing. I feel like podcast has been part of my life for a while because I had a YouTube interview series that I did that was basically podcasts when I was about 12, which was basically just a couple of different YouTubers we had on. But then I ended up stopping after the first episode of the second series when I realized I could not one-up the guest I had of Matt Lucas. And I was like, now I can't get anyone higher than Matt Lucas to agree to come on my YouTube channel with like 100 subscribers when I'm like 13. And so that was that. And then I kind of moved on to a show called Please Be Seated, where I had different guests on to talk about a film of their choice. So we had anything from like a comedian came to talk about The Shining. We had an archaeologist talk about Exodus, Gods and Kings and how horribly inaccurate that movie was. And then Movie by Minute, I just got involved in that, guested on a load of their shows. Lockdown hit, and I was like, well, I guess I might as well start my own. So got in touch with a guy called Robert Black, who is a Movie by Minute podcaster who's done loads of shows and is just a fascinating person. He did a thing called Groundhog Day Project where he watched Groundhog Day every day for a year, which is just amazing. And so we came and did 2 minutes about time. And that's the main one. I did Christmas Actually, which was day by day of Love Actually over December, but 2 minutes about time was the big one. I've also got a new one coming out, which we're just calling the Love Rosie podcast, which is about the 2014 movie Love Rosie. It's not Richard Curtis this time. It's a Cecilia Ahern book and directed by Christian Ditter, and that is a show that's coming soon at Love Rosie Pod on also good social media platforms. But yeah, 2 minutes about time, I assume, is the main one that you're planning to.
Caused a lot of noise, man. Made a lot of noise, that show did. You managed to get on some good guests. The celebrities that you got on were just fascinating. Brilliant.
Yeah, so we had a mix of like podcasters and friends, and then other people who we somehow got. Darren Brown joined us for 3 episodes because he shouted us out on Twitter once, and I was like, "That's strange." So, do you want to come on the show, Darren? And he was like, "Yeah, sure." So Darren was on. We had Ron Sexsmith, which leads to an interesting story that I think you're going into. But Richard Curtis was the big one for me, being my biggest hero. But Ron Sexsmith was the one that made a lot of noise in terms of what that led to, which I assume from what we said before recording is what you're going into.
I don't know if this happened before we met or after. I think it was after we met. Yeah, definitely, because I think it's Alex Westwood. That's how we met, wasn't it?
Yes.
That's kind of the link there because you made the film together. But okay, what happened with this? Because I read the story like, what's the story I've got here? This is on MSN, which is an American thing, obviously. Elton John blown away by students' "I'm Still Standing" cover. Elton John has invited a class of school children to a future concert after he was blown away by their version of his hit "I'm Still Standing." What happened there? What was all this about?
So I had Ron Sexsmith on 2 minutes about time. He's an amazing Canadian singer-songwriter. He did a song called Gold in Them Hills that features in About Time and is one of my favorite songs. So I was like, let's get Ron on the show. So we had him on. I chat with him quite a lot on Twitter. We were just chatting about stuff in DMs. And randomly, I was talking about our school choir. I'm in the choir, but I wasn't in this video. And I just sent him a video of them doing "I'm Still Standing." And I was like, here's some of the stuff my choir's doing. And about 10, 20 minutes later, I get a message, just sent it over to Elton. He loves it. Have you got a contact for the school? He'd love to get in touch. And it was just like, what? I didn't know you knew Elton, but there we go. And so then Elton John gets in touch, sends a video message to the school saying how much he loved the cover and inviting us all to his next gig when he comes to England again, which is just very,
I'm
very
going to
exciting.
attempt to share a bit of this, right? I think we can share about 10 seconds of it.
Yeah,
so there's a YouTube version of this. So if I share my screen here, and we go over here, there's Elton there. You see him looking lovely. And
so I can't see. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's something now.
Got it. Okay. So I'm gonna full screen this.
Oh, it's all me, and you're recommended. It's because I screen recorded this and put this on my YouTube.
Right, okay, here we go. Yeah. So this is what happened to
a YouTube channel, which might not sound that unusual, but they've attracted a very famous fan. Let's see them in action.
Right. Who did that and sing? Who was it? Taron Egerton that did it and sang? Who did that? I think
that. I think he did it in Sing, and then he was in Rocket Man. So Taron Egerton and Elton John seem to have kind of a long, because they were together in Kingsman 2 as well. Like,
they kind of laid breadcrumbs, didn't they, as to, because he did that in Sing, and everybody's like, if we don't get Taron Egerton playing Elton John, I'm going to riot. I think that's kind of like a general consensus. And they're like, okay, we're going to have to tease people with this. And they did it.
Luckily, I got
Man
kids.
Was beautiful.
I haven't seen Rocket Man yet, but luckily I got kids, and like they loved Sing. So I was like, it's one of those things you put on, you're doing dishes or whatever. And not that you guys recognize this, but you're doing dishes and you're like, hey, I love that song. All right, what's going on over here? I like this. I like what I hear.
It's good great stuff. Good moment.
And we should definitely throw in there's a Sir in front of that Elton John this entire time. Right. We've been so disrespectful. Man's been knighted, Alex, you fuck.
Well, that's MSN. They've gone straight for Elton John, not Sir Elton.
It's true. True. MSNBC, get with the program, man. Sir Elton John.
What did that feel like to get? Because I mean, you're not mentioned an awful lot in the stories here, but what did it feel like to be sort of like the catalyst for that?
It's really nice, and in a way, it was quite nice. The fact that I felt like I could take pride in it and enjoy it all in a kind of better way without the credit being there constantly for me. It was like I was able to see my friends being brought up and being able to enjoy that happening to them without kind of thinking, what does this mean for me? How's this going to help my career? Like, it was quite nice to just see that happen. And it's lovely. The joy that it brought, it was incredible, because it was the middle of lockdown. Like, we hadn't seen each other for months. And then we briefly came back together, socially distanced, in the school for an ITV interview, and they cut me out, but hey ho.
No way, that's awful.
My part of the story apparently not as important as the rest, but so that's there is no evidence. It would have been great for the podcast if things hadn't been cut out, but that's the way the industry works, and I'm kind of glad I'm learning that now.
Yeah, lesson learned. Like, make sure your name is on blinking lights behind it next time.
I should really have said to Ron Sexsmith, make sure you tell Elton John it was me who sent this video to you. No, Ron has been a lovely, lovely guy, and I still chat with him very regularly. If anyone likes a bit of kind of, I don't even know how you describe his music, kind of, no, I don't know. It's just lovely sort of indie style, but he is a musician, which I don't know if any of you have heard of Ron Sexsmith before. But he is, he's not as big as he should be, which is a real shit. He's my favorite musician. But among his biggest fans, because I did research afterwards, like Paul McCartney and Elton John are both massive Ron Sexsmith fans. Like, it appears that like loads of big musicians consider Ron Sexsmith one of their favorite artists, but kind of he hasn't. Yeah, it's a shame, really, because I love.
I'll be sure to check him out. Right, we're running short on time, guys. So we haven't really talked much about Reduced to Clear, which is a shame, because it's going to be an amazing project. Alex, you've been quiet there in the corner. What's it going to be like? Very very quickly, going from asking friends and family, volunteers to come and act for you, to a proper cast. These are famous people that have worked on real film sets. What's going to be like going from one step to the other?
Overwhelming, I think, because obviously now we know the people that we're going to be with. We know they can do their part, but now I'm a bit nervous that we can't pull on our end and do the directing and stuff as good as we want. Although I've got faith. Yeah. I've got faith in me and Luke that we can do it.
I'm
great.
glad you do.
Yeah, but yeah, it's going to be overwhelming going from one to the other, and it's like, I think I may have mentioned this before, but the progression from our last project together, because Luke's obviously had more like projects, so the progression's clearer. For me, we go from Conman Denominator to this, which it goes from 0 to 100 really, and there's no middle stepping stone to get there, and it's going to be
we kind of wish in many ways that Common Denominator didn't exist, because if people want to see what we worked on last together, it's awful and they won't want to work with us. But
Exactly.
we've definitely moved on from that, and like these actors, as you said, have been on like amazing films. I mean, Nanette has been in over 1,000 films and TV shows. Like if you watched a thing with Nanette every day, it would take you 3 years. Like that's incredible.
That's unbelievable.
And she is in everything. If you go for like crowd scenes in any film and TV show, there's Nanette, guarantee, which is just lovely. Alex Macqueen has been in a ton. Ewen Macintosh, you know, he's known for The Office, but he was in like feature films in The Lobster. He was in Shed of the Dead. He was in of Little Britain. He was in like there's it's
was
amazing.
He in Extras?
No, but he was in Life's Too Short.
All right.
Very briefly.
I have to look for him in that because
Life's Too Short. Yeah, when it was good, I really liked it, but it also had just some real lows. Life's Too Short, I think. It never. I never thought he found his feet as well as Ricky's other stuff do.
Is that like Life's Too? What's the one? Oh, Afterlife. I'm thinking of.
Afterlife. You're thinking of. Life's Too Short is Warwick Davis and Ricky Gervais.
Yeah.
It's odd. I don't really like. There's some wonderful scenes, but it's not great. Ricky Gervais, if you're listening, I'm willing to change my views if you email me. But it's but that's the exciting thing as well. It's like I think Alex, we're both Gervais and Merchant fans, aren't we? I'd say
a bit.
And like so, Nanette in Extras. Not in Extra, Nanette in Derek, because she's one of the main people in the Old People's Home in Derek, and Ewan from The Office. These people have been directed by these people. These guys I look up to.
And the thing is, you mentioned Afterlife a minute ago, Alex. Nanette is in a shot in Afterlife.
Yeah, in episode 1 of Afterlife, Nanette. I think she's got a line. There's a bit with when she's putting out the newspaper, and it's like, was it scarred for life? She says or something, and he's like, it's hardly for life. If she lives to 100, it's only 7 years or something like that. It's some horrible line he says. But it's that the Nanette is the woman who works there. Also, that's like a direct quote from something Carl Pilkington just said on one of the radio shows. So Ricky's just stealing from Carl's comments, but hey ho. But yeah, I'm very excited about that. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Ricky, we love you. We do. I really look up to Ricky Gervais stuff, and it's exciting to me. It's such a tiny thing, but my thoughts of these actors. And these people got on board, we're going to be on their phone contacts next to these names that they've worked with. That feels so weird. If one of them goes on Michael McIntyre's Send to All, we're going to be one of those texts.
But the thing is, right, the reason why I've got you on this show is, and the only reason, really, Luke, is because I believe you can make things happen. Genuinely, I think that's goes without saying. Like, you've got people talking about something you did. It's on my screen right here, all around the world. You did this. You got this together, right? Elton John is talking about something that you instigated, and there's no reason why that you guys can't go on and do this. I wish you the best of luck with everything that's going on. We're going to be working with you with the biscuit anyway, so we're going to be in constant touch. And if there's anything you need from us at USUK, if there's any sort of you want to share any information, any links to your Kickstarter, I know that the crowdfunder kind of you hit your limit.
We hit our goal, but we've increased our goal now. I think.
Oh, good. There you go.
It will still say on there 750, but we're seeing whether we can push it to $1,000 because we're not quite sure how our budget will work best, and I think. All the better money towards the film will all be spent. I guarantee. It's like we're looking at it now, and it's suddenly like the moment money's introduced, it's like, well, now we've got to cover transport, we've got to cover refreshments, we've got to sort these locations, we've got to sort these, refreshments and all the rest. And it's like, yeah, we should probably try and increase our budget a little bit. So any donations still appreciated. We've got a whole range of perks available. If anyone listening is a massive fan of The Office, they donate a certain amount, they can have a video chat with Ewan. They can get signed pictures. They can get a signed copy of the script. Like we've got stuff there that hopefully people will like.
Nice. Tom, have you got anything to add? Let these guys go.
No, man. I'm excited to see what you guys bring in the future. And once again, I agree with everything with what Alex has been saying, that you guys are the future generation of creators, and it's just exciting to have an opportunity to speak with you. So thank you.
Brilliant.
Thanks so much for having us on. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I love guest. I think I said to you this before. I love guest spots because, especially from recording my own shows and knowing I have to edit, it's so nice to just think I could do whatever, and it's your job, and it's lovely.
Wow. It's just a story of my life.
On that
note, story of my life. You guys have been fantastic. Thanks for coming on this show and speaking to me. Second time I've spoken to you this week, but I'm sure we'll see you again future down the line and stuff. What we tend to do now is we let our guests go, and for the next sort of half an hour, I'm going to try and prize some sort of life out of this guy who's done a night shift and is struggling. Bless him.
No, I'm sorry. Sorry, very unprofessional. But when the wife came in, when she was going her back and forth, one of the things she mentioned was that our subscriptions are getting a little out of hand when it comes to Roku and Amazon and all that stuff. So I was really quickly looking to see. This is older people stuff where I'm like, is this going to affect my bills this week? I have to look to see what subscriptions are coming up and make sure I'm not going to fuck myself in the future.
You got to make a decision. Which one?
You got to make a decision. I got to lose something. So I was kind of like, what am I going to lose?
What am I going to lose? What a terrible decision.
It is. It's hard.
Guys, before you get out of here, tell people where they can find you. Alex, we'll start with you.
Like my socials.
Yeah. Between you guys, anything to do with the show, where can they find you guys?
I'm really only on Instagram at Rice. That's RICED .BY and then Daylight, which is DAYLIGHT.
Okay.
There we go.
Brilliant. Now,
Luke,
my plugs are very long, so I'll just say, go to lukeallen.co.uk, and everything should be probably linked on there.
see, classy as like at 15, I'd have been like, oh yeah, it's Whiteley 69.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I say lukeallen.co.uk is because otherwise I have to tell you all that my Twitter is at llama_bottle0, which I've now got on 500 business cards, so that has to stick. But,
It does. It's kind of funny because you set up these things, and like my email is not professional, but I don't want to change it either. It's who I am. Mine's been tfrosty117 forever. Speaking of where I live, speaking about one of my favorite movies, Blade. So I keep it. I'm like, screw it. I don't care if people think it's unprofessional. But even though it's been like this, I've gotten some of the most amazing people in the world to come on the show. So I don't.
I love getting emails from people with interesting email addresses. It's lovely, and it you remember them more as well. Like there are certain, I won't say who, certain of the bigger names that we got on 2 Minutes About Time. Like I'm assuming their email addresses are because like they don't want people to find out them, so they've got kind of very silly ones, but that's ingrained in my memory now. It's kind of like, oh yeah, that's so and so's email, and it's just
Right. Well, guys, thank you very much for joining us on the show. We're going to slip on over to the later lounge now and discuss some geeky stuff. But ladies and gentlemen, Alex Yousefi and Luke Allen, thank you very much for joining us on the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Guys.
See you.
Right, here we go. Oh, I forgot to do it, didn't I? Let's do it.
I did it. It's not going. Where's the later? It was weird. We were stuck in this weird purgatory of yellow screen. I was like, how we get out of this building, Alex? Why are we in the later lounge? I'm so scared.
I have not been with it this week when it comes to like all this sort of stuff. I think I ended the Wednesday Night Live without even playing the outro. I was just like, bye.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was hilarious. It made me laugh so hard. Dude, you're a constant perfectionist, so there's nothing wrong with you getting something wrong every so often. It makes you human, not makes you bad.
I've been working really hard this week, to be fair. I've been working on trying to make new contacts. And we had to it's been a very, very difficult week for us on What's the Difference, because we've had 2 reschedules this month, I think, where we've had to very quickly. Luke very, very generously was like, yeah, I'll help you out. So thank you very much for that, Luke. And yes, you are right. That was a very different sort of thing for us to do, speaking to young people on this show. It's not something we normally do, but I do think it's something like we speak about culture and culture across the, across the planet, I think it's very important to talk about what are the young guys up to? What's the future gonna look like? And if the
What are the
future
young
looks
guys
like,
up to? They're up to making us feel old, Alex. Everything we are saying, I'm like, we're just a couple old guys,
bad
just
life
yelling at
choices.
shit.
That's what it
Bad life choices. That's all we're doing. These kids are like making films and like talking to all these important people at the age of 15. And you and me are like, yeah, we do that now at the age of 33 and whatnot. So I mean, whatever.
And it's the things like making sure that you make the right decisions, like what Luke was saying about. I'm gonna go back and worry about what I've said on this now. None of that when I was younger. None of that. I was just kind of, I don't care.
No,
So
the things that we said as kids would probably get us canceled so hard. It's unreal.
Yeah, but Luke, if you're
Regardless.
listening back to this, I think it's very important to talk about what we did today because
Yes.
that's why these things exist, is because they're discussion pieces,
Yes.
Yeah,
True story, no fiction. What have you been up to this week, buddy?
I have been up to quite a bit actually. Finished Clone Wars, which was great.
All right.
I finished that, and then I went to Star Wars Rebels, which is something I'm taking a break from because it was a very odd switch. Because Clone Wars for me, I said to you when I first started watching it, the graphics from the season 1 were not good. They were kind of like PlayStation 2 blocky type of stuff, and then they progressed to something that was absolutely beautiful. They really refined the animation in that show to the point where when Ahsoka's flipping around or when they're moving, they look very human-like. It's so beautiful, and the detail is so fantastic. And then you go to Rebels, which I think was made with a palette designed for younger people. I described as going from Lego to Duplo because it was just like, it's so dopey, and the stormtroopers look all short and squished, and it was just.
But Rebels is where they bring back Darth Vader and right, or is that Clone Wars? I can't remember. I didn't
Darth
watch.
Vader will be in it because it's sort of after Episode 3.
Okay,
so
I saw that one video. I watched that one part of the episode because I wanted to see Ahsoka fight Darth Vader, which was fucking awesome. They also have like a whole bit where they bring in Darth Maul, which I saw some of that as well.
the Darth Maul story is very, very good. I don't want to spoil it because there will be a lot of people. By the way, I do encourage it. That's the only reason I went back and watched it. It's because there's going to be so much released on Disney for Star Wars over the next couple of years. That's going to be so relevant to all that. So I kind of made the smart move of, I should really get going with all this stuff because it's not going to make any sense. Like the Bad Batch that's coming out is going to be amazing because once you see them on Clone Wars, you're like, oh, I want to see more of them. Well, guess what, fuckos, you're gonna. Because
the Bad Batch are stormtrooper or ex-stormtroopers, right? They're ex-stormtroopers or ex-imperialists that end up
they're
changing
deformed
sides.
sort of. There's like the caretaker they call 99 at the Camino, the clone facility, and he's deformed. He's like hunched over and a bit older and a little bit, and they call him 99, right? Because he's deformed. So they named the unit the 99th unit or something like that after 99 because they're all a little bit. One's a bit too skinny, one's too big and too strong, and the other one's got like. They're very, very good. Very good because it takes it's like, these guys are so bad they couldn't ever be accepted as like clone troopers, but they got their very own special unit that kick fucking ass. It speaks sort of to anybody that's a little bit different out there, and I think that's good.
Like us, we're the Bad Batch. Yeah, we're the Bad Batch of podcasters.
We're the baddest.
Yeah, it's true.
So I finished that, and then I started playing No Man's Sky.
Oh yeah. My buddy Nick, we all know Nick, or at least some of us know Nick. He speaks really highly of that game, at least lately. Before, when it first came out, he spoke nothing but horrible things. He's like, dude, like I've been so excited for this game, and they're really letting me down with this whole thing. And then they made a bunch of updates, they changed a whole bunch of things, and now he's like, dude, it's one of the greatest games ever.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's one of the most boring, most interesting games I've ever played.
Interesting. I mean, like, I like that. Like, we've been over the type of games I like, and that's something that I would definitely be into as well. I like games like The Long Dark, which is all about survival and about, building fires and that type of nonsense. I'm trying to think, like, what have I been doing this week? I I've been okay. So I actually have a new diet tip for anyone that, like, because it's an ongoing struggle to try to make sure I keep my weight off. I work so hard to get it off. I don't want to gain it back, but I have a new diet tip. For you, Alex, especially if you want to lose some weight, buddy, this is the thing. Before you eat a meal, like as you get your plate together, I need you to go and find a show called My 600-Pound Life. I need you to watch it while you're eating, because what's going to happen is, like, last night I made this really nice, you know what Hamburger Helper is by chance? Is that a thing over in the UK?
I've heard of it, but I can't remember what it is.
Okay, it's essentially like a boxed, shitty, like sped up version of making like an old school style thing, like stroganoff or something along those lines. They'll have a really quick, easy way with powdered mix and boil the noodles, put the meat in, and then stir it up, and it makes like a quick, easy meal for parents when they don't have time. So that's what Hamburger Helper is. Very famous in America. That has a little glove mascot, which there's lots of jokes about. So I made like a Hamburger Helper style taco noodle bake last night, and I had my normal portion, which is just like a bowl, man. Like it's just a standard bowl, whatever. And normally I could eat like 2 of them bitches because I'm still a fat guy at heart, Alex. I still love to eat. So I get through half of my bowl as I'm watching My 600-Pound Life, and I see these people that are really struggling with, obesity in a real serious fashion, like how they try to like get on the path to becoming healthier and shit. I got through half a bowl, and I was like, yeah, I'm done for the night. I don't need another bite. Thank you very much. So if anyone's trying to lose weight, go watch My 600-Pound Life while eating, and you will stop right away. You'll be like, no, thank you.
What's the motivation to stop though? Is it because like you feel sorry for them, or
no,
the portions they're eating, or
it's that. It's a lot of that, and it's also how quickly you can fall into bad habits when it comes to food, and how easy it is to rely on the comfort of being full. And we're not supposed to be full, Alex. We are evolutionary beings that come from a time and place where we eat our fill, and then we probably don't eat for 2 or 3 days because, food was not nearly as accessible. But because we live in the time and place where we can go to a grocery store and go get whatever we want and eat to our heart's content, it's just too easy to do so. So it's really not a difficult thing to just kind of fall back into the comfort of a coma of food. So it was a lot of that. And plus also like, I worked hard for this. Like, and don't get me wrong, I didn't do what some people run marathons and they lift weights and they do all the really hard work that goes along with losing weight. And I didn't do that. I kind of cheated my body into losing weight, which is, I would say that changing my dietary preferences was also kind of difficult in one way or another. But like, I don't want to just be able to eat a muffin and be like, oh my God, it's so delicious, I'm gonna have another muffin because they're fucking good and I enjoyed it. So watching that really kind of put me in that mindset of like, no, it's supposed to be harder to maintain. It's not supposed to be easy. And if you do this is the type of thing that can happen to you. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I need to lose a bit. I definitely need to lose weight now because we've just put a media team together for the biscuits. So we've got like photographers and stuff.
Really?
Yeah. So we're going to be going and doing photo shoots through Shrewsbury and stuff. And I don't like having my picture taken anymore. I'll take the odd selfie. Yeah, you look at me at a good angle so you don't see the chins.
You're beautiful, Alex. Don't even worry about it. A man that's stuck in lockdown and, you have a lovely family, don't get to get out. Because to be totally fair, when you and Timmy were getting out, you, Timmy, and Kaz were getting out all the time, it wasn't like, you were, huge or anything, dude. You've been stuck inside for so long. And not only that, but you were stuck inside at your mother-in-law's house for so long. And what other comforts do you have other than eating some good food, dude? You can't blame yourself for that.
It was... I mean, we've had what day are we on now? Friday. We had 2 takeaways this week, right? Nice. And it was really funny because my wife got like her company. They all received like a reward, it was a £10 Just Eat voucher. Do you get Just Eat in America?
No, I'm guessing it's a delivery service, right? Weren't you on a commercial for that, Alex?
What?
Weren't you on a commercial for that, or was that a different thing?
That was Zoom food.
Okay,
yeah,
Zoom food. Thank you.
I was on an advert for that.
You totally were. I saw you. And it was so funny because I saw you post that video. I was like, I know that guy. Look at that guy in the commercial. I talk with him.
Yeah, I've met the guy who runs Zoom food, and he's one that's going to be. If he's not already, he'll be a millionaire because he's brilliant. He's brilliant at what he does. Anyway, so Kaz got a voucher for Just Eat. for breakfast. So we ordered breakfast from McDonald's this morning. I was like, oh my god, 2 takeaways and McDonald's breakfast this morning. So that you kind of
Is the steak, egg, and cheese still a thing over there for McDonald's breakfast? Is that on the menu? Because they took it away over here.
I'm not too sure. I've had the same McDonald's breakfast for years, and that's
what is it?
A double sausage and egg McMuffin with no egg, because you can't say a double sausage McMuffin.
Oh, that's right. You don't like fucking egg, you asshole.
So they have to take the egg off. Right? Yeah. So yeah.
That's crazy.
And then it comes with a hash brown.
Yeah. Are they oval over there? Are they like the big circle
like
thing?
Yeah.
I actually made my own hash browns the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was super simple. We don't have to go about it right now, but like literally, it's just if you have like a nice cheese grater with like the single slot with the slots and stuff, you just shave up a potato and you cook it in the microwave for a couple minutes, and then you form it into a patty and then fry it up and stuff. And it's excellent, and it's a little bit healthier version and not so nearly processed. I think I'm gonna get you into cooking this year, Alex. I think that's one of my goals. I'm gonna get you into switching over some of that stuff, because a lot of the stuff, like even if it's not to be healthier, it's just for money's sake, right? Like that's not the reason. I don't make my own hash browns because I think it's better for me. I do it because it's cheaper, and I can get a 10-pound bag of potatoes for like $5, and that's like one meal at McDonald's.
You guys have to go and fight polar bears and shit, don't you, to get to the shop? Like,
we do. I fought 3 of them. I fought 3 of them this morning, and a moose. I was like, fuck you. I need to go to work, you cunt.
It's what do you know what? We've made so many sort of foodie chef type friends on the show and on the biscuit as well. Legina Leal is a lady I spoke to on the biscuit, and she's an advocate of don't order takeaway and don't cook out of jars, right? Because there are spices that you can buy, especially if you're going to cook a curry. And she has like spice packs that you can buy off her, and she encourages you to cook at home. And she'll even sort of teach you how to do it on Zoom and stuff. She'll teach you how to cook it. So she sent me some spices actually, which will be fine. Ooh. Maybe if I speak to her, we could maybe do like a live cook along show. That'd be quite cool.
Oh, heck yes. I'd love that, especially a curry, because I know nothing about curries, and I would love to like get a better grasp on making. And of course,
I'm going to speak to
the UK. Yeah, of course, the UK very famously loves curry because you guys were imperialistic over India. But yeah, I love curry. I love curry to death, and I would like to learn like don't get me wrong, curry is inherently spicy, but I'd like to learn like a not as spicy version so the kids can eat it. Maybe like what is that, buttered chicken? I think is the
buttered chicken curry. Or chicken tikka masala or
yeah, exactly. That sounds like fun, dude. Look at these ideas we come up with all the time.
Yeah, because we're fucking great. That's what it is.
And you and me have been really busy reaching out to people. We don't need to say anybody that we reached out to because it's still pretty fresh. But you and me have had a lot of like very exciting write backs from people about future guests. Did you happen to watch any of those videos I sent you yesterday? We don't need to mention who they are, but
yeah, that was what happened. Then was I jumped on No Man's Sky, and then 3 hours later. I went
to bed. Nice. Good man.
No, I haven't, but I will.
That's fine. You'll see
no
it,
Man's
and then you'll
Sky,
know.
Man, I just fucking it's one of those games. Once you're on it, you're not coming off for the next 2 hours. That's it. And I've never been like that.
I admire that. I don't have the dedication for video games any longer, dude. Like I
hadn't, like, the whole time I was at Gloria's, I hadn't played on the Xbox or anything for nearly a year. Genuinely,
yeah, no, you played like nothing actually. I think I remember hearing you play maybe once or twice with Call of Duty, if that. Like I think maybe 3 times at the most. You're like, oh, I'm going to play Call of Duty tonight. I was like, really?
I tried it, but it didn't work because the internet. So
internet's so shit. Yeah, that's right. Now is No Man's Sky a multiplayer game? Is that how you're doing it, or is it just
you can kind of meet up online and you can be like, yo, look at all my shit. Yo, look at all my stuff. Like, you can kind of go on missions together and stuff. Yeah, you can. And there's it's really weird because I'm playing the single player mode where you kind of make your own stuff and it's all one player. But there's a like a space station you can summon or bring, and it comes to you. You go in, and then it's multiplayer. All the other players are going around, and you can go to like a giant console thing and go on multiplayer missions together and stuff. But like Destiny.
Do you know what's been interesting me? Like I'm very late to jump on it because it's such an old game now. But I've been watching my kids play Minecraft more and more, and it interests me a lot. Like I'm like, wow, there's a lot to this game, and I can't believe how much detail there is. And I get that it doesn't look like amazing, and especially compared to today's graphics. but like the things you can do in it are so creative, and I'm very big supporter of Minecraft now. I'm like, because before I'm like, oh, Minecraft, because I was an old man, I didn't know anything, but now like knowing what's in it, I'm very big supporter of like the creativity aspect that goes into it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Leon, my oldest son, plays with me and Timmy on it, so that's one way we can connect. And they spent ages just building like Leon did a giant statue of Timmy's character. They made it like this thing, and it was just they were just having so much fun.
Cool. The
like
only thing I
Lego.
don't, it's just like Lego. And the only thing I don't like about it is how impossible they've made it to, even though you can play cross platforms with one another, like you can play with a Nintendo to an Xbox and an Xbox to a computer, they've essentially made it almost impossible for you to cross platform play with other people. Like going back to Nick and his daughter are up here, and she's a huge Minecraft fan, and Tom's a big Minecraft fan. So we spent like 20 or 30 minutes linking up everything so they could play on the Nintendo Switch with one another. It was insane. I was like, how much work? Like, what kid figured this shit out?
Yeah, it's a bit of a pain in the ass to get in the same sort of world or lobby. But yeah, we've managed to any obstacles we've had, we've managed to, I think, get by. We've managed to sort out a guest for. Well, this was been a long time planning actually. So next week we're speaking to someone. So this artwork here I put for Charlie Adler, who's coming on next week's show. Putting that together, and I wrote this to him. I said to him, like, putting this artwork together was such an emotional ride. All these things behind him and more. He did the voices. So you got MODOK there. You got Rocco's Modern Life. He did Cobra Commander, Starscream. He was Doyle from The Mask, the cartoon. He did that voice. He was Cow and Chicken. Felix the Cat. Like,
now was Cow and Chicken like okay? So is he really coming on next week's episode? Or is he coming on tomorrow and is being released next week?
Yeah, it's coming on next week's show, as in what we're recording tomorrow. Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, sorry, I get confused sometimes because initially the reason that we did this is because I was supposed to get a tattoo tomorrow. Didn't end up working out, so we get to bang 2 episodes. I am unbelievably excited about this. Did you watch Cow and Chicken in its release?
Yeah, I loved that, man. It was on Nickelodeon, wasn't it? Nickelodeon? I'm sure that was Nickelodeon.
No, it was Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network was the. I mean, once again, it might have been different over there because
no. I think you're right. Yeah.
But like all that stuff, like especially Rocco's Modern Life. Rocco's Modern Life is like one of my all-time favorite dirty kids cartoons, and we've been so lucky, at least in my mind, and I know that you agree with it, but like everyone knows my feelings on 90s Nickelodeon, 90s cartoons, 90s everything, because that's the era we grew up in. But we've been just so fortunate to be able to speak to the people that have had influences and participated in all these things. So now being able to speak to someone from Rocco, after we spoke to Andy McElfresh, who did Rocket Power, after we spoke to fucking DJ McHale, who did Are You Afraid of the Dark, it's just amazing that we're getting this new opportunity.
Who am I missing off that? Which I'm really pissed off about, by the way.
Ickis from Real Monsters.
Our Real Monsters.
And
that's another one. That was another one. That was a bit borderline.
Really?
Yeah, because
the 100%.
The main antagonist was like in high heel boots. And
yeah. The grundle, which is like that's a sex term right there. I hope you know. Because we have a future guest. We don't need to say who that is, but we have a future guest that's very important to you and me both. We love the show that this person was on, that we got we're supposed to bring up future interview that's coming up maybe in April to work schedules out, blah, blah. But we have a person coming on from there. And I want that person to do voices. I just want to hear the voices that have like given me goosebumps. So I'm gonna bother Charlie about a couple voices, like do Ickis, please, just a little bit voices.
One of my favorite lines from the Transformers movies, by the way, which I know people aren't too keen on the movies, but like is you failed me again, Starscream. I'd love to redo that scene. I know that's Megatron saying that to Starscream, but like, I'm sorry, sire.
Good though. It fucking rocks, man.
But apparently he wasn't the original Starscream. Apparently, there was somebody else that did the voice before him. But like, as soon as he took the role from the cartoon, he was doing all the movies and all the cartoons that they've done recently. So he is Starscream to me. Like,
nice.
So I'm super excited.
We're running short on time, but really quickly, I have not seen it. Do you want to kind of pump me up for what I'm going to see in WandaVision?
Bring some
no,
tissues,
you don't have to tell me about it. Really?
Tissues.
I don't get
I was
sappy
bored.
like
I'm
that.
not. I do cry at movies, but I don't do it for effect. I genuinely, I was a mess, an absolute mess. So yeah.
Are they going to continue? Is this a one-off, or is this going to continue into a new season?
I don't think it's going to continue. No, it's a mini series. So a mini series it's basically an elongated movie.
Yeah. Okay. So this is not going to continue. So what I'm going to see is the end of WandaVision. All right. Cool. That gives me, you know what? That actually entices me more than the thing that they're going to draw it out.
It's fucking badass. It is
Yeah.
badass. Like, I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. So this finale is good. And I've heard, I don't know if it's true, it probably is bullshit, but I've heard there is another episode, but they're not telling people. I've heard there is a secret episode, but that could be bullshit. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. We'll find out.
Don't forget as well, there is a mid-credit scene and an end credit scene, so make sure you catch both.
I've seen a lot of people being like, talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier, be like, how are you going to top this? I'm like, are you surprised that they're going to? Because they're going to. Like, it's not going to be on the same boat as WandaVision, but it's going to be in the same ocean as the Marvel Universe. So the fact is, like, everything they've been putting out recently, they've just been smashing it out of the park. So I don't have any doubt in my mind that Falcon Winter Soldier is going to be a next level amazing thing.
They're doing a MODOK series.
Is it a cartoon?
It's stop play animation, I think it's going to be canon.
Interesting.
I don't know,
but
I don't know.
They haven't really done too much X-Men in this universe, though. Like, I mean, this was the first introduction to any X-Men type thing. Was WandaVision Wanda introducing Pietro in the real way? Because obviously there was the crossover of like, wait, you're an X-Men movie. X-Men. Do they get more into that? Because I haven't seen past that episode where Pietro was introduced.
I can't really say too much without spoiling it.
All right,
I really can't.
I'm gonna spend
you're gonna love it
Saturday.
You're a big fan of the witchy stuff, so you're gonna love this shit. Honestly,
yeah.
All I can say is Scarlet Witch is I can't no I'm not gonna.
All right, fair enough. I'm gonna spend Saturday night. I'm gonna drink a lot of coffee Saturday night. I'm gonna try to plow through the rest of it.
Okay, all right, cool.
All right,
Tom.
Yes.
Did you know that we've got a website?
Oh my God, we have a website. Get the fuck out of here. Do we? We do. Hey guys, guess what? We have a website, and it's a beautiful functional website, and we have no one else to thank in the world except Pete White and the guys over at weborchard.com. Weborchard.com is an amazing platform which they will take your idea and they will turn into a visionary device. I'm pretty certain that Pete White was also known as Pablo Picasso back in the day. He was an artist, and he had to hide his name because we all know that Pete White's an immortal. And he cut off his ear as Van Gogh, but then he's like, "Oh no, sew that back on. I want to be Pablo Picasso now." And then from there, he directed his attention towards the future. He was like, "What is the future going to bring?" Because artists are visionaries, Alex. I don't know if you know this, but they're visionaries.
They are, yeah.
And they're like, "Hey, I need to know what's coming next. Fuck all this paint and shit. What is going to be my canvas of the future? The internet. I don't even know what the internet is yet, but I know it's going to be a big deal." So what he did was he put in the future. He's like, "Hey, I'm going to build websites for people. I've already expressed myself enough, because Pablo Picasso and Vincent van Gogh, they did a lot of artistic stuff. But he's like, how can I help future generations of artists to do their craft? I know I'm going to build a platform to showcase what they are doing on this internet, where it can go to millions and billions of people all across the globe so they can do this." So that's what Pete White did. He put away his canvas and he said, "I'm going to help build websites." And guess what, guys? At weborchard.com, they build you websites. That's what their job is. That's what you pay them to do. You don't want to build a website. Building a website's hard. It's stupid. It takes a long time. You're probably busy like me and Alex are. We got families. We got kids. We got stuff going on. Our wives want attention. They don't want us to be out building websites. They're like, "Ew, you building another website, you fucking asshole." I'm like, "No, I swear to God, I'm paying Pete White to do it for me." If you trust Pete White to do it for you, guess what? It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be functional. You're going to be able to sell things on it. You're going to be able to showcase your whatever it is, whether it's your fucking Etsy stuff, or it's your artwork, or it's your 5th grade picture that you've never shown anyone else in your entire life before. Guess what? You can have a website to show all of that stuff, and you have no one to thank but Pete White and the people over at weborchard.com. So you need to go to weborchard.com for all your website needs.
Yeah, fantastic. Beautiful.
It's a lot better than last week's. Last week's I was disappointed because I wrote it down, and I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm just gonna go off the top of my head. I don't even care if I sound stupid saying it. I'm just gonna do it from the top of my head.
Amazing. You always do a good job. I'm keeping these, by the way. For the
Good.
future
Please
reference.
do, and send them all to Pete White. Maybe he'll send me $1.
We are returning with the Weekly Bazaar Podstars for season 2. Look at that logo, it's so sexy. Season 2 is coming back. We go live on the 12th, and our first guest is going to be Elsie Brown, who is the queen of the No Rules podcast group. She's amazing. She's going to be joining us, and from then on, we're going to be doing 10 shows weekly. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've got guests lined up for weeks. So make sure you join us for that. The guys at USUK Chronicles are absolutely fucking nailing it at the moment. This guy here, Ron Wasserman, he came on their show. He is responsible for some of the greatest theme music out there. The X-Men theme tune, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. He did so many, and he made all that. And their podcast is flying off the shelf. So if you've not seen that, there is a reason why it's doing so well. Go and listen to it. There is also an opportunity for you to join the USUK team. I think at the end of the month, we're going to be doing our interviews. We've had a lot of people get in touch already, but we have a new show that's coming, and it's the USUK Incinerator. What we did when we were doing the Thorskin is we had a show called Butt Chug Island. Tom hated the name of it, but the concept of it...
I still do. I still hate that fucking name.
The concept of it was great. So you send things to oblivion to never come back. But what you got to do is you got to sit in there and discuss why these things are going to Butt Chug Island first. And that's what that is going to be. But I want the person to be like the boss, the daddy. They own the incinerator, and they ain't going to just chuck anything in there. So we want someone to apply to do that role.
Yes.
You just need to be able to record your own audio, edit your own audio, and release it, okay? It's your show. You look after it, and we'll just tune in. We even go on as guests, because you need 2 guests to show. So if you want to, if you do want to get in touch and be a part of that, simply go to our website, usuknetwork.com, and there's a contact me thing there, or just drop us a line on Facebook, and we'll get back to you. But yeah, thank you very much, Tom. You're just always amazing. Always.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for bringing those guys on, man. Like I forget my audience sometimes, and I was like, oh yeah, I gotta remember I'm talking to 17-year-old kids, and I'm saying a lot of things that their mom and dad probably would not appreciate me saying. Whatever. Live your truth.
I could see you a bit apprehensive at first because you're younger. They're not our normal demographic, but you've got to do this. You've got to do it, and it's important.
Oh no. I support the fact that you push my limits, man. The fact that not in the shitty way. I'm not. You push me to the limit. No, you test me in a way that I yeah, exactly, man. We got to talk to everybody, and I appreciate the opportunity to do so. I just got to remember sometimes that not everybody wants to be potty mouth like me.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine then.
Plus, he's
anyway,
a Buffy
guys,
fan.
We love you guys. Thank you very much for joining us. This has been What's the Difference podcast. I've been Alex Whiteley.
And I am Tom Hanks. Oh, shit, Tom Bruno.
And we'll catch you next time. Peace out.
Hey, everybody, this is John Redcorn, King of the Hill. And you're listening to and watching You Suck. Do me a favor, don't touch that channel. Don't change it. Don't take it like you did my land.